Hello. Today's December 18th, 2020. This is the last chance to get your Christmas gifts, so think about that now. Today we're doing robot and nonsense. Have you guys gotten your Christmas gifts yet?
Kind of, but one thing about the pandemic that's kind of great is that most of the people on my Christmas list have just sort of been like, listen, let's not bother. Because we're just exchanging Amazon credit at this point. There's no shopping involved. So yeah, and my parents, I'm doing their Christmas shopping too. So they're just like sending me orders to order for people. I'm at a point right now, and you know that you're too deep into 2020 like faux capitalism. There are 3 Amazon boxes in like right inside the doorway right now. I have no idea what's in them. I don't remember, and I don't have the motivation to even look at this point. It's like, I'll worry about that later.
I've got one that's supposed to come in on the 23rd, and I'm hoping it gets here on time.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Oh, that's kind of rough. Did we do the story about UPS? UPS is drivers were ordered not to pick up packages from certain major retailers because they were just like, this is not important enough. We're not going to carry it because there's so much mail going through the thing right now. We can't handle it.
Wait. So they contracted a shipment and then they're just like, don't do it?
No, it was like the retailers, like they have that return program where they'll accept returns and then UPS will pick up the returns at like retailers.
Kohl's does that with Amazon.
Yeah, UPS was just like, don't pick that up. Those are not priority shipments.
That makes sense because you can process that at any time.
Yeah, they were just like, don't pick it. But retailers were like, well, where are we going to store it? And it's like, hey, read your contract.
Yeah. If only you had a warehouse. If only you had a nation of warehouses like we do. Well, let's do a little bit of AI news. And this one is not surprising because we have seen this same headline just swap out who's doing it and what the disease is. But this is written by a master journalist. Let's keep that in mind.
Salesforce claims its AI can spot signs of breast cancer with 92% accuracy. Mr. Wiggers, good job.
Oh, it's our favorite reporter.
Yeah, not surprising. This version of testing, though, turns out to use a much less invasive form of testing for breast cancer. I don't think they require the biopsy. Or it's like not as bad of a biopsy and you don't have to use a microscope.
Neat.
We'll see.
Good news.
All these, I'm worried that some of that might turn out to be like the battery thing.
Yeah.
It's a great headline. And why is Salesforce in this business anyway? Like, are they getting into medicine?
I did have that question when I read that headline.
Yeah.
Pretty soon we're going to have Salesforce.com insurance.
What a dark future. Cruise is another self-driving company. I don't think they've really done anything to stand out.
Literally never heard of them until this article.
But maybe they can now.
Cruise begins driver testing in San Francisco. Driverless testing in San Francisco. So you can zip around San Francisco in one of these Cruise autonomous vehicles. Download the app and it'll take you where you want to go.
It is similar to, what was Google's one called in Phoenix? Waymo.
Waymo, yeah.
Similar to Waymo, where they chose a really, really well-maintained, nice neighborhood to test in. So definitely not conditions that we drive in every day. Although it's in San Francisco, so it probably has to dodge needles and piles of human feces.
And also bicyclists. A lot of bicyclists.
Yeah. Hippies.
Bicyclists. Is it bicyclist or just a cyclist?
You could probably go both ways. Although couldn't a cyclist be a motorized version as well?
Yeah.
But that's a biker.
Dun, 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 dun.
2 very distinct groups of people, and I don't think they'd like to be compared to the other.
Engagement challenge. Do you say cyclist or bicyclist?
A Hell's Angel agent has been dispatched to our location to take us out.
I generally, I just go with asshole.
Not all cyclists are assholes.
The ones on public roads are.
Some of them are. I find they're worse in the bigger city. That's not
true of most
too far
things.
from us. Yeah, like they're way more like pushy with their bikes.
Which makes no sense because they are. I could kill them at any moment.
Yeah, and that terrifies me.
when I was in college, one of my professors would bicycle to class every day. I saw him do a headfirst somersault over a car that had, like, he was driving on a sidewalk, which is what you do around here, which doesn't seem right.
You're not supposed to.
And he was going through the crosswalk as a car was coming, and the car pulled out in front of him, and the bicycle stopped, but he literally did a somersault over the car and landed feet first. It was like a circus act.
Is that the guy that always wore the clip?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I always looked at him like, am I going to get to that place somewhere where I just don't care about anything anymore? And I wear the clip to keep my pant leg out of my bicycle chain all day.
Yeah. I'm already there. What are you talking
I'm
about?
probably getting there, to be honest.
You don't
I
ride
think
the
the
bicycle.
pandemic has just accelerated that timeline, because it's like, well, I don't care how I look anymore.
It's funny because I don't put a lot of thought into it, but because I'm leaving the house like 2 times a week now, maybe 3, and laundry is, you just wear the same clothes over and over, who cares? And I'll be standing there looking into the dryer because I don't bother putting anything in the closet anymore, and I'm like, did I wear this same color shirt last week?
Yeah.
Who cares? So this story, this is another one of those stories that spanned the week. There was, story after story because there was this outrage. So the root of this is that Google had a person who was in charge of artificial intelligence ethics.
And they wrote a paper.
And this person definitely seems like a bit of a problem in the workplace. Very woke. And there was a lot of strong opinions in this paper. And Google's response to it was probably not the best.
Google CEO pledges to investigate the exit of top AI ethicist. They say exit here. She was fired.
So you're simplifying it. She broke out the paper.
Well,
Here's a nice little bullet point list of what happened.
It was characterized as a resignation, but Gebru says that it was a firing. Google had refused to give permission for Gebru and other Google researchers to attach their name or the company's name to an AI ethics paper that had been accepted for publication. In response, Gebru sent her superiors an email with several demands and said that if those conditions couldn't be met, she would work out a timeline for her to leave Google with minimal disruption to her team. Instead, Google abruptly said it was accepting her resignation and cut off her access to internal email.
So you can read the letter here that Pichai wrote to the company addressing this. But basically, she kind of threw down the gauntlet and was like, these changes have to be made. And Google was like, we'll see you later.
For what it's worth, it does seem like she did go through internal channels in the run-up to this publication because there was going to be an event around this to talk about the paper and its implications and blah, blah, blah. And it did seem like she ran through internal channels previously, but then at some point management got wind of it and was like, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the paper had a lot of negative things to say about Google's business model because there's a lot of negative things to say about Google's business model. But if you're Google, you can't let that happen, right?
I got it more as like it's a lot of negative things to say about the type of AI that Google is building and or is used heavily in a lot of their products.
That's
Which
what
probably goes to the ad stuff, right? I'm sure it's driving a lot of the everyday stuff that they're using. Or the Gmail scraper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's not wrong. Although, if you look at her social media and stuff like that, again, she's very annoying.
If you were a company that put lead in gasoline and then your researchers were finding that lead in gasoline was making people sick, would you have some sort of responsibility to, maybe talk about that at least?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're annoying or whatever, you should still be allowed to publish those findings because it's important.
It's like, I get for economic reasons we can't stop using leaded gasoline tomorrow, but can we at least start making some plans?
But you got to come back to the whole private company thing, right? And if it's bad for the company and you have a dedication to your shareholders, are you doing the wrong thing to protect the company?
No.
Maybe wrong for humanity.
I'd say in the pursuit of public health, yeah, that is absolutely still the wrong thing, but...
Is AI public health? We're getting into all kinds of crazy debates here.
Maybe eventually. Privacy, certainly.
I'm sure we'll hear more about that. And we'll have some people with more authority than us making rulings on it. This headline is really weird because the name is "Look to Speak," but it doesn't flow at all. Anyway, Google has some interesting new technology for people who are impaired in such a way that they can't use their hands at all to integrate with the technology.
I'll try to use inflections to make the title make sense. Google's quote-unquote "Look to Speak" taps gaze tracking AI to help users with impairments communicate. So Google's got a new product called Look to Speak, which will look at you to see where you're gazing to know if it should pay attention to you or not.
They got a couple of tiny screenshots here. So basically, this is similar to the Stephen Hawking technology, but you don't have to actually interface with it in any way whatsoever other than your eyes. So they're going to give you like a list of options that make sense in context, and then based on what you stare at, it's going to open that next menu or say that word or whatever.
I've got one of the Tobii eye trackers, which are actually really neat pieces of technology. It's like the Magic Leap, which was also a really neat piece of technology that never really took off. And the eye tracking on that thing is shockingly good. It's got integration with a couple of games like Tomb Raider, and it is shockingly good technology. I experimented with it a little bit on Linux, trying to do eye tracking augmented window management, and it was pretty fun, but I never really got anywhere with it.
It's cool technology, but that is the technology that once it's everywhere, and I probably won't take that long, it's going to be really invasive.
Yeah. Because
what you're looking at is, like not necessarily something you always want to share with the world.
Can you imagine one of those LG OLED walls, and it's like you're looking at your phone, and like you see something moving in your peripheral vision, and then you look up, and it's like, oh, hey there, I'm Bob. Would you like to try a new, Hot Pocket? And it's like an interactive ad, and then you like turn around, and then Bob just slides down the interactive wall, and it's like, I've got Hot Pockets. Would you like a Hot Pocket? It's like, this is the most annoying ad ever.
Yeah. Drink verification can. We're getting closer to that reality every day. 4chan new.
Drink verification can, and then fine yourself 20 cents for using a can.
I think that the French soldiers may have a solution for that, though, and that's a bionic ad blocker.
That is, again, cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Like the ocular implants. You get all this extra information in the world, but the whole time I'm playing it, I'm like, this is all going to be ads.
That would be a cool thing if they worked that into the game, because there's all those ads everywhere, and it's like there's a thing you can toggle on, and it turns off the ads.
I also love the idea of vending machines being everywhere, and that's your health replenishment. It's like, don't bother us with health replenishment, just go to the vending machine. Anyway, yes, the French army, and obviously we're getting to the point we have to talk about robots in war. That's a big question, right? What are the ethics there? But also, where do the soldiers end and the robots begin if we start putting bionics in them?
French army gets the ethical go-ahead for bionic soldiers. The one exception in the rules is like, we can't do anything to them that would cause them to lose their connection to humanity. It actually says that.
How do you define that?
What percentage of flesh? That's going to be defined at some point.
The reference, like the footnote here is like, see RoboCop movie. It's like RoboCop was still connected to humanity. ED 2802 was not connected to humanity. That's the difference.
They also got this horrific picture of China playing around with this in the past. That guy just has skeleton legs. Yeah, that's I always felt bad in XCOM when I turned my soldiers into robots.
But you had to. The game was engineered so that you had to. Because, you're going
to get a lot of comments. It's like, I did it on hardcore mode without it. It's easy. You just suck.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in Civ, I do resort to nukes fairly early in the game.
Yeah, I think you've nuked us a couple times when we played Civ together.
Sorry.
Boston Dynamics, they finally put their dog robots on sale this year, but you expect from this headline that there weren't a lot of pre-orders.
No.
Because Boston Dynamics, they do one thing really well. They make amazing viral videos. They make really cool robots. What they don't do well is they don't make money. That's a big problem. So when you don't make money, what do? Well, you keep passing the potato.
Hyundai to acquire Boston Dynamics for nearly $1 billion. That's 80% of Boston Dynamics. Did they say what they were going to use the robots for?
I don't know, but look how excited Atlas is.
Woohoo! I've been bought.
I'm property. No, they didn't. They mentioned that the spots are out there. They're making headlines. They're actually working in the field, but I don't think that's going to make $1 billion.
There's a Spanish restaurant owner that's in like one of those tourist destinations, and they're using a spot for order delivery because it's within the quarantining and social distancing rules.
Yeah, but how much do you make off that a year?
Enough to pay for an $80,000 spot robot.
I doubt it. I doubt you're making $80,000 on top of your.
Just the PR from that was worth $80,000.
Maybe if you get big enough restaurant, I guess. This story, I have to apologize. I assumed this was a robot taxi, so I put it in the robot section. Turns out there's a pilot.
Yeah,
so it's not a robot at all.
Singapore is going to be the first city to have flying electric taxis that'll shuttle you from A to B in 2021.
15 minutes is what those batteries will last. Which seems terrifying to me.
But that's long enough to get you across the city.
But what if there's a traffic jam? What if there's a strong wind? What if there's a fire on the landing pad?
Gonna have to do an emergency landing in the middle of the street. You ever watch those airplane emergency landing in a highway videos? Those pilots are really good, some of them. And we just merge with traffic here.
Yeah, it's like, you expect the cars to be stupid, but a plane coming at you makes you get smart real quick. Like, oh yeah, let's get out of the way. There's a plane there.
The question I have about this too, like if you get enough of these eventually, will you have to have like specialized air traffic rules in the way that we have right-of-way rules for ground traffic?
Probably.
Well, they point out that these can fly low enough and they're accurate enough to stay out of the air traffic picture. But like you say, when there's
like a mid-range, right? If there's enough of those little things flying around.
Yeah. If there's 5 companies, then there have to be some sort of communication, I guess. Although, modern cars are built with all that telemetry broadcasting at all times. Yeah. So you could probably have just a little live map of where the other choppers are.
Wasn't that one of the subplots in Magnum P.I.? It was like all the little helicopter tour companies in Hawaii were all like cutthroat and trying to sabotage each other.
I didn't watch that much Magnum P.I. to get to to know that lore. But that makes sense because the scenic tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was how Magnum had his little helicopter. It's just a tour helicopter.
Probably trying to catch them at the airport, sell them on it. Yeah. Basically, you're exchanging fuel for money there. So the margin could be pretty low, I guess. You got to pay a pilot. Just find a guy who got a little cracked up in Vietnam. Japan, more and more when I look at Japan, it sounds like paradise on earth. Why? Because their population is dramatically dropping. And, it's just like, hey.
Everybody is too stressed out to have children.
Same infrastructure, but not as many people. Sounds good. But if you're in the government and you're trying to collect taxes, this is a massive issue for you. Because on the far end, people are soaking up your taxpayer dollars. And on the short end, they're not doing anything, including making money and paying taxes. So what do? You depend on the robots, as the Japanese often do.
Japan to fund AI matchmaking to boost birth rate. They literally are depending on the robots.
So basically, this AI is going to try to figure out who you should be making babies with. And it's going to put you two together.
Engagement challenge for those of you that live in Japan. Let us know how that works out.
I'm curious what are the details that it's going to use to determine a best match? Is it purely physical and genetic, or is it also trying to determine if you would be a good match emotionally?
It's going to do more. So they already have matchmaking programs in Japan, but they pointed out those were basically mostly based on your like economic class and age and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that somehow the AI will go much deeper than that. So
I don't know.
I think they could probably start with an education program in school that's like Hatsune Miku in a box is not a valid, companion to get away from your, emotional needs.
She'll never fix you dinner. She'll never rub your back.
No, she might. I mean, those Japanese robots are getting more sophisticated every day. She might do both of those things.
Maybe what they need to do is to do like a real-time deep fake goggle. So you can get your just regular girl Again, this is going back to cyberpunk. The dolls, the doll AI needs to go into the Japanese women.
And then do you tax the dolls?
Well, see, Krista, you need to get on the cyberpunk bandwagon. The quote-unquote doll in cyberpunk is a human girl. But she's been augmented so that her mind basically turns off and wipes the memory of all the horrible things you do to her in your sexual encounters. The AI runs a human as a sex robot, which is the darkest twist on that whole scenario.
Spoiler alert, I guess. I don't know.
That's early.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a spoiler. I'm sure that the writers did not examine that beyond. Isn't this a cool idea?
No, they actually played into it a little bit. Like, the encounter turns out to be non-sexual. So many spoilers. I don't care. Deal with it. You should have gotten it on launch day.
Or just watch streams
we
of it.
preach against that.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered it by like an hour.
We only just barely got GPUs in. I mean, it's taken us almost 2 months to get modern GPUs.
Yeah, I'm planning on a 1080, but it's fine. So,
what settings do you have it on, though?
1080, whatever automatic settings it chose. I didn't tweak anything. Runs beautifully. Seems fine. Now, last week we talked about, and some people corrected us, it's not Chang'e, but they tried to pronounce or describe how to pronounce it, like Chang'e?
Chang'e?
I don't know either. They'll try to correct us again.
You just said, a Chinese swear word or something, and they're like, no, that's not right.
Anyway, I'll go ahead and call it Chang'e, even though I know it's wrong. Chang'e is on its way back with asteroid dust. So much asteroid dust that it couldn't contain it all. That's how much. And that's China, and we're like, wow, look at the Chinese. They're doing something amazing. But Japan says, hang on a minute. We were doing this 6 years ago, and guess what?
It just got back.
Our dust is here. Significantly less dust.
Japan Space Agency hails the return of asteroid dust on Earth. Yeah, it made it back. So this launched in, 2014?
It's been 6 years. Yeah.
2014. And it made it back. And there are, they think that there might be organic building blocks in here, and it'll have some clues. The asteroid that they targeted was one that they don't believe has changed much since the beginning of our solar system or the beginning of our galaxy. So it's super old stuff, and it may give us an insight into what the early composition was like before, the Earth formed and all that.
Only a half a gram of asteroid dust from this one.
Wow.
What a tiny little collection chamber.
Yeah.
But that's a half a gram more than we had before.
Yep.
So, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to whatever space pathogens can be released from that.
Literally the
Andromeda
origin
train.
story of the Andromeda.
Or humanity.
Yeah, they said if they detect organic building blocks, then that may be what seeded life with some of the stuff what seeded Earth with some of the stuff that we used.
That's the one that I believe in terms of like human origin, right? Like somewhere in the soup, something got added and started multiplying.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Moving on to nonsense, and that was I often put space stories in nonsense just because I don't know where else to put them.
We're excited about a half a gram of material from something that's 15 billion years old. Woo.
Well, it's not uncommon for people to get excited about a half a gram of material, but it ain't asteroid dust. So this one is, it's not a fun story, but it is just in that sense of like, let's laugh at how dark our reality is. Let's laugh at how something that would be a comedy sketch 5 years ago is now a hard reality. And dear God.
Wall Street begins trading water futures as a commodity. Wall Street has begun trading water as a commodity, like gold or oil. The country's first water market launched in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange this week. The reason is because of Nestle. Look how much money they make on water. It's crazy.
I'm so excited that when the water wars start, I'm now confident I can still buy Nestle water as we descend into the darkness. Now, I think only 2 contracts changed hands on the first day of trading. Futures contracts involve a lot of money. These are big, big contracts. And the way it usually works, I don't know how this one works, is Sometimes you can settle it in cash, or sometimes you take delivery. Taking delivery of a massive amount of water, that's going to be difficult. But the idea with futures, as with all things, is like, hey, I run a soybean farm, and I know I'm going to need a lot of water in July, and I don't know what the price of water will be in July. So I can buy water in December for July.
That's so horrific.
We already do this with every kind of food. So it was a matter of time.
Glad to not live on the West Coast right now.
Yeah, really. I was looking at a wide shot of Las Vegas the other day, and it's like, who thought this would work long term?
Was it? I mean, I could see like, okay, we'll build a tiny town here, but then it just kept growing and growing and growing well beyond what that region can support. And it's like, why?
You know, I was watching the Tom Green van life videos. Tom Green is now traveling in a van, which is something
I love.
Krista loves. And it's I can't recommend the videos. They're too long. There's a lot of shots of him just like staring at the camera in that Tom Green fashion, or making a joke that's not really funny and just letting it go and go and go. But he explored a ghost town, and listen to this irony. The man who invented irrigation used that invention to create a town in Texas, and it thrived. It was an agricultural mecca because he was pumping in all this water. A dam broke, and the whole thing failed because the water was gone. It's now just a completely empty town that you can go and explore.
Wow.
Did you see, there's a guy on YouTube who gets recommended to me periodically, and it's like, he just bought a town somewhere out west. I can't remember what state he's in. And like, he lives there now. He owns every building, and like, he's slowly like renovating it and rebuilding it.
You could probably do that there. I don't know what the utility situation is.
Yeah, I don't think this guy had any kind of utilities yet.
But how do you get water in that scenario?
I think he just drives like 2 hours out of his way to go to the store and just cart stuff in. What's crazy is, like, from what I've watched, he's only had it for a few months. He hasn't started gardening or anything yet, or like done a water, like rainwater system or anything. So I don't know what his plans are. I haven't watched him in a while to look.
Is he not taking showers, or?
I don't know. Maybe he does that when he goes back into town. Maybe not.
Once a week.
Maybe he's not showering at all.
I mean, let's be fair. I'm stretching it pretty hard during the pandemic. Now, we talked for several weeks now. Everybody's been talking about this, and unfortunately, I think marketing has stepped in, and it's ruined what was once just a fun little thing.
A timeline of all the monolith appearances and disappearances around the world, and it's not actually a lith because it's not made of stone.
What do you call this then?
An obelisk.
Okay. A metalith.
So, there's a timeline, and it turns out that some of them are definitely marketing. Some of them we're still not sure about. Most of them have disappeared.
This one didn't seem to say. Yeah, there you go. Insider reported that the monolith appeared between summer 2015 and fall 2016, so it took a while to be noticed.
That was one of the older ones. But there was one, a guy just put one outside of his candy store.
Yeah, and that one was stolen.
What a beautiful microcosm of humanity.
Somebody was like, I'm going to get $50 for this at the recycler.
Wouldn't the recycler, it's like you take it to a pawn shop?
Yeah, see, that's just, it's crazy. Like the backsplash, I got the stainless steel backsplash behind the stove. And if you get it from Home Depot, it's $300. If you get it from a stainless steel recycler, it's $35.
Nice. Tesla, we talked about, they are building a new gigafactory in Berlin because you have to make your thing in Germany in order to not pay huge import taxes to sell it there. And they want Germany to be their next big market. And so, hey, look, how much money do we have? Hundreds of billions of dollars. Let's spend some of that, make a nice factory in Germany. There's a problem that no one expected.
Tesla's new factory has been delayed by hibernating snakes.
Been there.
It's got a little bit of greenery that it's got to clear. When they started clearing it, they found snakes. The snakes are protected, so you can relocate the snakes, but not while they're sleeping.
I just imagine the snakes, like, they raise their heads up and everybody gets ready and they're like, nah, 15 more minutes. So,
do you think Musk is just losing it?
Yeah.
When he heard about these?
Oh my God. Yeah. He probably ordered some like pet snakes just to kill them, just to, get that out of his system. But the snakes will wake up eventually. And at that point they can move forward. But now we're finding out there's also some lizards in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a species of lizard in here we haven't seen since the 1930s. You can't build here. Sorry.
So, yeah, tough. I remember when we did a story one time, it really stood out to me. We were talking about wasps, and a lot of the YouTube comments were like, not in Germany, you don't kill wasps. It's literally illegal to kill wasps in Germany.
Wow.
You can't do that with certain things here as well. Like, they're talking about building a resort in Red River Gorge, and they have to do like a big environmental survey to make sure there's no like protected species of salamander or bats or anything like that there first.
Well, that was remember the Bundy Ranch debacle?
Oh, yeah.
That was all about turtles.
We've had a few construction projects here canceled because of bats.
Yeah.
Because we have to keep our bat population healthy, otherwise bad things happen.
Yeah, I'm sure if you just got rid of a bunch of snakes, there'd be something to happen in the ecosystem.
With the bats, it's like, it's bad enough for mosquitoes during the summer, but like they just blot out the sun.
Yeah.
You think they would retaliate if we were to kill some of their sleeping brethren?
No, I'm saying like if we killed the bats, there would be nothing to eat the mosquitoes.
Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we would have mosquitoes all over the place.
Yeah, unfortunate. So, we'll see. I want to wish good luck to those snakes. I hope wherever they relocate them to, they enjoy themselves. Have a good life.
I wish the boiler snake would have perked up right then, but it didn't happen.
They ought to just let those snakes just hang out on the factory floor. Imagine all the warm machinery they could curl up inside of.
What if they built the factory on like 3-foot stilts and turned the bottom part of the factory into a terrarium? So you look through the floor and there's like, heat lamps and stuff like that, and you can see the snakes in their original habitat.
And there wouldn't be any rodents in your factory. The console wars right now are less of a war and more of just a desperate search. People want these, but they didn't make enough of them.
As is the case with GPUs and
every
CPUs.
PC part.
Yeah.
Basically, electronics in general, they're just not making enough. I think the Switch is also having a shortage, right?
It's because there's literally nothing else to do.
All right. So, what do you do? I've seen streamers advertising that they're looking to pay $1,500 for a PS5.
That's crazy.
And, not finding it. So, you get desperate, and when you get desperate, you apparently act out the plot of movies from 2007.
Gangs are doing Fast and Furious style heists on moving semi-trucks to steal PlayStation 5s. Desperate times calls for highly dangerous and illegal maneuvers. Yeah, wow.
Now they're using the one car approach. They're not boxing him in. Seems like this driver.
Seems like a mistake.
Yeah, this driver could do some maneuvers and get away from this. Maybe just wasn't aware, but the whole idea is put a man on the front of the first car who breaks the lock and gets in there and empties the truck while in motion.
I didn't watch this whole video. Are they successful?
Yeah, they cleaned him out.
Wow.
And they pointed out this was not the only instance of that. There have been other instances of trucks being robbed, and not just moving trucks, but Amazon delivery people. Those trucks are getting robbed. Porch piracy is way up because they're just hoping to hit that lottery.
Yeah.
I need to go check my porch after this, actually, because I have a package coming today.
I almost never go to my front porch. I go to my front porch like once a month to clean off the pine cone or the pine needles. And I got a package out there and I went to get it. And there was like this little pile of church propaganda. Because I don't ever go out there.
Wow.
In our neighborhood, it's the short-term loan place. They give you like the free cup with the pen. Yeah.
Well, Krista, if you move into land ownership and go to a nice neighborhood, that goes away, and the churches come after you.
I can't wait to be landed gentry.
We are moving into Christmas, and it's going to be a bit of a muted Christmas, I think, much like it was a bit of a muted 2020. But Dr. Fauci is here to tell us that one thing will not change.
Dr. Fauci says that Santa Claus has a natural immunity to the thing, and this global situation that we find ourselves in won't stop Christmas giving. But you know who will stop Christmas giving? Mitch McConnell. Because there's no stimulus coming.
The Grinch.
There's no more stimulus coming. I don't know what to tell you.
How do you think Mitch McConnell, I bet he's for the snakes. Right?
Yeah.
Because he's a reptile. One thing I don't think Santa Claus, his Christmas magic might keep him from getting infected. I don't think it will help him find you a PS5.
Oh, yeah, my cousin's trying to find one right now. Her kid, and I'm like, it's not going to happen.
The elves don't have 7-nanometer technology.
And the sleigh, it's not useful for robbing trucks in motion because all the reindeer are out front. It's very
just
difficult.
hear them clattering when they try to land on it.
What was the Jason Statham movie where they were stealing something like that? But it's like Jason Statham and Santa Claus. That we've just written a blockbuster Hollywood screenplay.
You've also just described every movie he made. The idea of leaving the Earth is appealing to more and more people as things get worse and worse here. I think that's a trend that will continue. But according to one man who did, in fairness, work in this industry, it's already happening. It's just that you don't get to be a part of it.
According to this, aliens exist and they're bunkered under Mars with humans, ex-Israeli space official says. He also says there's such a thing as a galactic federation.
Now here's the most important question. If this is true, does Musk know about it?
I was going to go with, if this is true, do we get some kind of like relief effort when there's like starving African children? You know, we'll ship in some food. I think, 2020, we could use some shipments of stuff. Something. Come on.
He claims that the aliens have a measurement that they're going against, and they feel that humanity is not ready for, to know about them. But there will come a time, and they are actively measuring, when they will reveal themselves, when we can handle it emotionally.
That's not now.
They ask him why he was telling us this, and he says it's because he's old and he doesn't care anymore. And he does have some pedigree. Like, he seems to be a legitimate guy in this field.
Wasn't this one of the things that Trump promised he would disclose when he was elected?
This guy mentioned that, and he said Trump tried to and was stopped by the Galactic Federation.
I don't think anything can stop Trump.
I feel like I've
cake.
heard everything this year after reading this story.
Well, maybe they have like a mind control tech or something.
That they got from the Galactic Federation.
They used quick hacks. They went through the breach protocol. What do you think about that minigame? I like it.
It's surprisingly not clunky. Like if you look at like the lock picking minigame and like Bethesda games, it's done much better.
I feel like it's easy to get one row, but to get them all three, it can be tough sometimes. I like that.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of humanity, there being too much humanity, that's something I live my life by. Whatever we're doing, we should be working on having fewer humans. That should be at the top of the list. And this headline, I feel like, really, really, really supports that, because it's hard to think about something as big as the Earth or the human population and understand the numbers. But I think this really kind of clarifies just what we're doing on a daily basis. Human
stuff now outweighs all life on Earth. So, yeah, all the stuff that we have, the buildings and roads and cars and stuff that we produce, it outweighs everything. It's also said that the people, like if you just take just people, we produce more stuff every year than there are people.
I think it's every day.
Or every day, yeah.
Every 20 years, they say it doubles.
And now they are counting roads here. That's a little weird.
Well, I mean, roads are artificial.
Yeah, but, I mean, when we're gone, those roads ain't going to slow down the animals at all. They'll probably enjoy them.
It is fun to go to some of those places where there's been like a road that's abandoned for 20 years and it's like all cracked and messed up.
That's, I don't want to keep calling back to Tom Green, but he went to visit like some cultural heritage site that was protected. And he like the road started to get kind of crappy. He was like, "Oh, they're not maintaining this road," and then the road is just gone. And he's on gravel, and like he's filming it. And he's just like bouncing the entire time. Then he gets to the actual site of the place, and the road magically comes back, and it's perfect. So there's some like bureaucracy where it's like we only have to maintain the road up until this point. Then it's your responsibility, and they're like, "No, it's not our responsibility." So there's this cultural heritage site that you just basically can't get to, but it's perfectly maintained.
That's a depressing story.
But an interesting one. And you can go there,
Yeah.
Krista. You could take your van.
Oh,
You
no,
could go
no.
visit
I was
this.
talking about the actual story, not the Tom Green.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, is it depressing, though? I mean, it is, in some ways, a testament to our mastery of the earth.
We're going to need materials from another planet to offset
But
our
we're not being
insanity.
good stewards of the things that we have on the earth.
You know who doesn't have crap when it comes out? Like, it's like, how much stuff did you make? Gorillas. Nothing. You do nothing. You suck. Now, was it week before last or last week we talked about the hairy children?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week, I think.
And that was just purely up to a mix-up in the packaging. They put the wrong pills in the wrong package. And it wasn't like the pharmacist doing it. It was at the medicine production plant. They just completely screwed this up. And this week we have a similar one. And the same way that being covered in hair won't solve your stomach ache, having a thick, long-lasting erection will not help your depression.
Drugs recalled after quote-unquote mix-up packages depression medication and erectile dysfunction drug together. That would be off-putting to be like super depressed and have that going on. It's just like, what is wrong with me? Why am I so broken? I don't understand why I'm so broken.
What if there was one guy they gave this to and they did the follow-up and he's like, I've been feeling great. This stuff works. I'm a little dehydrated. This is a great headline just because I have a feeling that this is not the first time couples have been using MDMA
No.
for this, as part of their couples therapy, quote unquote. Although this might be a novel use case.
MDMA-assisted couples therapy investigated in landmark pilot trial. I'm surprised they got this okayed.
Well, it's very limited because that is a Schedule 1 drug. Did you take this? I guess this is obvious, but so this is supposed to be relationships where one partner has PTSD.
Yeah.
It's the PTSD person that's taking the drug only, right? Not the other one?
Yeah, that was my takeaway, but there's a couple lines in there that suggest that's maybe not the case.
I guess maybe they both could. Krista, let's say the marriage hits the rocks, right?
Right.
And you just can't, you can't get around it, whatever, it's something, but you want to save it. Would you take a big hit of ecstasy just to see what happens?
Under doctor supervision. Yeah, I would.
Or, just like in the back of your car or something.
Just in the parking lot of like a Denny's.
And it was under the supervision of Dr. Nick.
Dr.
He
Ice
says he's a doctor, but he doesn't have a diploma.
Hey, everybody.
Dr. Dre. So, yeah, there are a lot of headlines, and I never know how much to read into them, but like mushrooms and MDMA and all that stuff. Seems to be really good for you if you've had some sort of trauma.
Well,
I would be so worried that it would make it worse.
some of the ancient... Well, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just maybe it would be all right if you had like a doctor who'd studied it and worked with it before.
I thought you were going to go with... you were going to talk about some of the old writing, like some of the old Greek writing about, their use of psychedelics is actually kind of fascinating.
Well, there's that whole Paul Stamets rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then there's the Joe Rogan thing, like the something or other ape, where there's a belief system that we only exist because the ape started eating mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like that turned on our thinking ability.
the mushrooms was the monolith. 2001 was an allegory for shrooms.
And all this time later, now we've subjugated the earth to the point that it's just our garbage.
Oh, poor Earth.
And finally, in 2020, in past times, you would dismiss this. But I think in 2020, I call this a brilliant marketing move.
I think so too.
I think it will have a very high viewership. Krista, will you be tuning into this?
I won't be tuning in, but I am slightly intrigued and also offended.
Will you watch a YouTube clip?
Yeah, I would watch a YouTube clip.
Will you read the Wikipedia like you do with Game of Thrones?
Probably not. Probably not that invested.
There might not be as many twists in this one.
No. Which one was the reading? I'll read it.
You are.
Mario Lopez will play Colonel Sanders in KFC-Lifetime original movie, A Recipe for Seduction.
So this reads like you remember the dating simulator that KFC made?
All right.
This seems like just like, wow, that was more successful than anticipated. Let's do this.
Now they don't have. I'm gonna try to get a shot of this other guy's involved somehow. I watched this without sound. Oh, there he is. There he is. We got a shot of him there. There he is. Mario Lopez as Harlan Sanders.
Listen,
This doesn't look like Kentucky at all, and I'm gonna be bold here, and I'm gonna call it cultural appropriation.
I've been to the Colonel Sanders Museum, and his contribution really is the safe use of oil with a pressure cooker, which is exactly as dangerous as it sounds.
Oh, well, that's all that bubbling lust waiting to explode. There's definitely a metaphor there. It's dangerous, but it's exciting.
I don't see a single character in this trailer with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth.
That's because of the oil, Krista. You know how dangerous it is to smoke around a pressure cooker filled with boiling oil?
Do you think people from Kentucky care about that?
There have been I noticed during the pandemic, there have been a lot of house fires that the fire marshal has attributed to people using oxygen while smoking.
Yeah,
That's a big thing.
that's not uncommon around here,
Do
unfortunately.
you know? So Colonel Sanders was a colonel, but he was not in the military. Do you know that you can purchase your way to becoming a Kentucky colonel? It's similar to the knighthood of.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mom was awarded a colonelship. Or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard of military guys who distinguish themselves in the field. They come home, they become a colonel.
Wow.
I think he just paid for his.
I wonder if the actor was like, "Oh, this will be a fun little thing to talk about at Hollywood parties."
I don't think there was a lot of budget left over for this Lifetime movie or whatever. Was it Lifetime? Yeah, Lifetime.
Yeah, it's a Lifetime. Absolutely, it's a Lifetime movie.
What do you think Lopez got paid for this?
$500. Times are really bad for actors with the whole global situation.
He's on TV though, right? I think he still has a show.
I thought he was on like Extra or one of those.
Yeah, he does one of those kinds of shows. I say they threw him $250,000.
That would be. I mean, I would be super motivated to do if it was me. That's some serious money during a pandemic.
Now he had to give. He's paying percentages out to all of his he's not taking that home, but I'd say that was. They probably filmed for like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad work if you can get it. Plus, you get to be famous. There is no resemblance at all. You could put that goatee on anybody.
Yeah.
I wonder if he does the accent. Like, I didn't watch it with sound on.
Yeah, I have not watched anything with sound on for this. I imagine he does. Yeah, they probably all do. It's a proud day for the bluegrass.
Is it?
All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Oh, be sure to check out that Linode link. It's below. Give you something to do. Or check out the Devember thread on the Level 1 forums. And again, thanks to Linode for sponsoring this episode of the news.
Bye. For real now. Bye.